So this piece has gone to market many times. It is very primitive country farmhouse and it hasn't sold. So I'm going to see if I can transform this piece into something a little more French country, French cottage. I love it exactly as it is, but it's not selling and I don't have room in my house. Because of the overall design, I still want it kind of cracky and chippy, so I'm going to use Dixie Belle's Crackle. I've only used this once or twice before, and I've never tried it on raw wood or with DIY paint. But, you know, there's a first time for everything. So I'm using one of my Klingon round brushes, and I am giving a liberal coat to this piece. One of the things when you use Crackle that you want to be sure to do is not to overwork the Crackle. The thicker the Crackle is when you apply it, the bigger the cracks will be, the less you apply, the thinner they will be. After the Crackle has completely dried, I'm coming back with the color Farm Fresh with DIY paint. And I'm going to apply only one coat, and I'm going to try not to overwork it. Try to make everything fluid in one, maybe two streaks. You do not want to brush back. As soon as the piece was dry to the touch, I went ahead and started stenciling. The crackle should begin happen immediately, however, it will not finish until it has dried for 24 hours. So starting with a Jami vintage stencil brush, I am using the color Buttercream by Dixie Belle. And you see, normally I'm a swirl kind of girl, and this I'm pouncing. I actually sort of went back and forth trying to determine what was the best way. This wood was very grainy and textured, so swirling didn't feel like it always worked best to get into some of those crevices. But like I said, I kind of went back and forth on it. I do really love how this came out. I am in love with all the texture that was created. I chose to do the stenciling only on the side, and I really like this pattern by Prima because it has a nice repeat. You can see how lovely the crackle is coming along. The final step in this process was adding 2 coats of DIY's Crystal Clear Chandelier Liquid Patina, and then we are ready for the reveal. So how do you think it came out? I have to say that Johnny and Sue both saw this piece every day at our warehouse, and they didn't even recognize it when they saw it painted. I had to point it out to them that it was actually the same piece. They thought it looked so different that they actually thought I had gotten a new piece and painted it. So I really love the transformation. Let me know what you think about the crackle, if you love the texture, if you love the color, or if you liked it better plain. For my next project, I want to transform this plain wooden riser. This has also gone to market a couple of times with this and hasn't sold, so I'm in the process of updating it. I'm adding some of Dixie Belle's Slick Stick because there is a little bit of a glossy surface. I did give this a little bit of a rough sand, and then I'm just applying 1 coat of Slick Stick just to make sure that our decoupage paper sticks really nicely, but also to provide a bright background for the decoupage paper. I'll be using Jami Vintage's Paulette decoupage paper. One of the nice things about her line of decoupage paper is that it is nice and heavy, so you can reposition it if you need to. I don't bother steaming these. I just sort of push the wrinkles right out. I'm using DIY's Liquid Patina for my decoupage medium for this. It's a perfect medium for this weight of paper. And you can see I'm just smoothing it out with my hands. I am going to let it mostly dry before I put the layer over the top. And I will do 3 layers of top coat over letting each coat dry in between to make sure that when people are using this in the future that it is very durable. Once it is completely dry, I'm just going to use some 220 grit sandpaper, and with a downward motion I'm going to just sand it down, wiping off the edges. It comes off really easy. Now I want to add some 20mm beads on the side of it, but to be sure I have enough beads and that I know my spacing so I don't end up with like a half bead left somewhere, I'm lining them up around the edge, and that will give me a good estimation. Now I did find I needed about 1 extra bead around the corner, so maybe between 4 and 6 extra beads that I didn't have here. So having a few left is a good thing, but because I had it spaced it like this from the beginning, I could see if I needed to edge any to the right or to the left a little so that I would make sure that I didn't have any extra wide spaces or any place where I would have a partial bead where I would have to trim them or it would look funny in the end. This made spacing really easy. With a smaller detail brush, I'm going to paint these beads and the feet with the color Angle Nook by Fusion Mineral Paint. Next, I will use Golden Rule by DIY Paint to add a little bit of extra shimmer. Remember, gold is all the rage this year, and I am keeping the colors bright, springy, and oh so French country. What I love about pulling out these less obvious colors in a print like this is to be able to show that you do not have to go with the traditional red and yellow and black or navy to have these roosters or chickens with this paper. You can still have your bright, springy French colors and have it blend in. You also get a sneak peek of our next project. And here's a quick reminder that you can follow us on all social media at Vintage Bee Design, and we have a community in Facebook called Creating the Hive or Creative Con Vintage Bee. And I've just started this month a new coaching group. Membership is only $20 a month. There's lots of discounts. Links in the description below. Let's get back to crafting. I cut out a bunch of these tags with my Glowforge in 2 different sizes, and I'm going to batch these out because market is coming and I need to get some product done. I will have the tags available on my website if you want to reproduce these projects for yourself. I have decided to stick with the color Angle Nook, and to make this go a little faster, I'm grouping several of the tags together and painting the sides of them first. Then I will lay them out and paint the tops. This goes a lot faster. I'm going to do these in 2 different ways. The first one is using Jami Decoupage paper. This is the pattern Vintage Easter cards. I love it because you get a lot of design out of this. It is perfect to cut up and use in multiple projects, which makes it great if you are someone like me who sells your work. I have already base painted each of my tags in the color Buttercream, and now I am just laying them out to see how I think each one will size up to the various tags. I have 2 different tag sizes. I'll be using DIY's liquid patina again as my decoupage medium, and I'm just going to lay that down on the cards, and I'm going to do this on every single one, and then once they are dry I will go ahead and do the coat over the top. To remove the excess paper, I'll do the same thing that I did on the large tray, and that is use some 220 grit sandpaper and simply rub on the edge in a downward motion. This helps keep you from pulling it up later, and you'll see it comes off super easy, and I'm just going to do this to all of my tags. Now, there were some tags where I probably should have chosen a smaller one, but there's a little bit of tag showing underneath, so I'm just going to use some of these scraps that I cut off and sort of piece them together. You'll see you won't even notice when it's completed. Just using the liquid patina again, and I'm going to lay some down, put that on, and then add some on the top, do a little sanding, and you'll never even notice. I have also held back a couple of tags because I have this great flamingo paper. I'm located in Jacksonville, Florida. Flamingos are very popular, and so I wanted to do some of these also. This is a 3-ply napkin. We do sell these at vintagebeedesign.com if you like them as well. And I'm just going to pull off the very top ply, setting aside the other 2 plies. Then I'm going to cut apart, and I actually can get 6 tags out of this 1 napkin. And this, of course, will go exactly the same as before, using the DIY liquid patina as my decoupage medium, lining up my print, and then smoothing it out, setting it aside to let it dry so I can do a top coat then. I don't know what it is, but lately I've been in a very glittery kind of mood. So I've pulled out some glitter from my collection, and I'm going to just give these each a little bit, a coat of the decoupage medium, and then a little sprinkle of some glitter. Because the other side of the tag was blank, I decided I was going to put some words on there. I went through my stash and decided that this Boots and Bonfires was actually perfect. While this is technically a fall stencil, it is a mesh stencil. Some of the wording was exactly perfect, and it was just the right size. If you've never used a mesh stencil, they're incredibly easy. It's really a lot more like screen printing. I'm going to tape off the edges here because I am not very neat, but I did use this stencil over and over again to do all my tags. The larger one says, there are so many beautiful reasons to be happy, and I love the way it fit my piece. Now I'm going to use Dixie Belle in color chocolate, and I just have like a little spatula, and I am just going to smooth it right over, and then you'll see I'll pull it right up, and it is perfect stenciling every single time. And apparently I didn't video it, but the smaller tag, the stencil says blessed beyond measure, and rather than being a vertical print, it's a horizontal print, and it fit perfectly. I love using the mesh stencils. They're so easy to use, and if you ever struggle with stenciling, this is easily the best solution. And so here's a look at my finished project. I used some already strung beads from some beaded garland that we already had, that we had an abundance of. I made my own tassel. You can kind of see how they all came out. These are going to do great at market. I'm really pleased with them. I did add a little sparkle. I used different fabrics and some chenille. I think they came out really charming. This week's projects were all about upcycling inventory that I already had for market.